I think we can start now, right? Alia?
I think, yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session organized by VODAN Africa and Asia. My name is Putu Hadi. Last week, we discussed the detailed abstract of special journal and some updates from the project. And today, our focus is on the next step of VODAN Africa and Asia. There are 5 topics in total that we will discuss in this session. As always, try to keep our mic muted during presentation to prevent background noises. If you have any questions while the presentation is going on, please type them into the chat box. So I will now hand over to Professor Miriam van Reysen to lead the session. Professor Miriam, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Putu, and again, thanks to you and Alia for organizing this session. I have prepared some input for today so that we can look at the progress in a kind of a systematic way. So if we go to the next slide, then these are the topics that we should be discussing today. So today we wanted to go more in depth into the organization of the VODAN Africa and Asia projects. As we have made a lot of progress, we should also get some clarity on the organization. Then next we will discuss the agreement on data protection, which is part of the arrangements that we have made under the projects. We will be reporting on the progress on data production. We will discuss the organization of the expertise of data access and control. And then we look at the presentations and seminars that have been accepted as part of the Convergence Conference in Paris, and all of our proposals have been accepted, which is very, very good news. And then finally, we will look at the spatial and data intelligence, and we'll give some further information on the process of the review process of the abstract. I'll ask Dr. Sakinat to also update us on that. Then if we go to that first topic, the governance on VODAN Africa and Asia, I have a number of slides. So the first slide looks at this, the next slide, to the general structure of the board. And I will ask Professor Francesca to speak to this. There was a meeting of the board, the VODAN Africa and Asia board, that was established last week. And the Secretary General of this board is Professor Francesca, so she will update you on this. Then KIU has been assigned as the coordinating party by the VODAN board, and also instructed to make use of the VODAN Africa and Asia Foundation, well, VODAN Africa Foundation Brussels office that was also registered last week, and which will be the interlocutor for the FMO project. Then there is the Data Competence Center to be established under VODAN Africa and Asia board, and then there are the steering committees of the particular project. So the steering committee of the FMO project, the steering committee of the Google project, and then the editorial committee of the special issue. Under the steering committee of the FMO project is also a consortium committee, which basically is the committee of the back donors. So the back donors report, the back donors of the FMO project report to the steering committee of the FMO project, and the steering committee of the FMO project reports to the VODAN Africa board. This is the VODAN Africa board. I think I made a typo there. It's the VODAN Africa board here, but it also implements the VODAN Africa and Asia projects. Then the board instructs the steering committee of the FMO project, and the steering committee of the FMO project instructs the consortium committee. That is the organization that was approved in the FMO project. So Bert, who is here on the call, he is part of the consortium committee as one of the back donor partners, and they also, Bert and the colleagues also sit on the steering committee, but the VODAN Africa board exists only of the VODAN Africa partners. So Francesca, maybe I can give the floor to you to speak to this.
Thank you, Professor Miriam. Good afternoon, colleagues, and thank you for keeping a date with us here again today, as we do every Tuesday. As Professor Miriam had informed, on Friday, the 30th of October, the board of the VODAN Africa was inaugurated with the Vice Chancellor of Kampala International University as the chairperson of the board. And we had in attendance all the members of the VODAN Africa project. We had Dr. Araya from Ethiopia. We had Dr. Sakinat and Dr. Abdullah from Nigeria. We had Dr. Reginald from Kenya, and we had Dr. Mariam from Tunisia. And of course, Dr. Chindaya was working on the signing of the privacy agreement in Zimbabwe. So he actually confirmed his attendance. So we take him to be in attendance as well. And we're able to inaugurate the board. And we had Professor Miriam, who is there on as an observer, and of course, she also accepted to act as an advisor whenever we need to consult with her, and she actually did that to her full capacity on that day. So we have the board, and with KIU coordinating, like she already said, as seen from this diagram. And of course, there is also the steering committee of the FMO project and that of the Google project, and now we have the special issue and the consortium, which is made up of our current sponsors. So the board will continue to oversee the activities of the VODAN Africa projects, and then of course the competence center, even as we hope that we get more sponsors to join the consortium, and then the steering committee as well can also be expanded. When we have, for example, get a new sponsor, we'll have to have a steering committee to oversee that project. Thank you.
And thank you, Professor Francesca. And so at this moment, when we started the governance, and I will, in the slides that will be distributed, it will be clarified, the board that was inaugurated was the VODAN Africa board with the VODAN Africa Foundation Brussels office. And where we are discussing the VODAN Africa Data Competence Center. But of course, there is huge value in this collaboration, VODAN Africa and Asia. So this will be taken into consideration. I think, Francesca, I'm right to say that the VODAN Africa and Asia consortium is implementing these projects in the spirit of collaboration. The governance, as we have it in a strict sense at this moment, was arranged around the VODAN Africa membership, which was the membership that was organized in that way in the startup project. But how that develops in the future or the near future is something that can be further considered. Is that right, Francesca? How do you see it?
Yes, Professor Miriam, that is absolutely right. We identified even during last week's webinar that we'll continue to open our partnership to interested collaborators from all parts of the world. So we have the VODAN Africa and Asia now. We're hoping that we'll still be able to expand, but the board will always be there as the governance, as heading the governance. And hopefully, as we continue to also expand, we'll take a new partnership.
Thank you so much. Then, yes, we can go to the next slide, Putu. So do you want to speak to this, Francesca? This is now the specific setup of the FMO project.
Yes, Professor, thank you. So the FMO project was approved specifically for 3 countries, Uganda, Ethiopia, and Zimbabwe. But of course, if you recall what Professor Miriam had said, the first meeting we had of this second phase, that will continue to also provide support for our project partners in Nigeria, Kenya, and Tunisia. So we have the steering committee of the VODAN FMO. I don't have to go through the members. I think we already shared the PowerPoint, but of course we have everyone who supports the VODAN Africa project, and we have Dr. Araya. The board is chaired by Professor Miriam on the instruction of the chairman of the implementation network, which is the Vice Chancellor of Kampala International University. And then we have Beth, we have Eric. So everyone who has some kind of technical contribution and providing some sort of support to the VODAN Africa and Asia project will sit on the steering committee. And of course, we have the technical teams, we have the TOT support, and we have our PhD and the curriculum team. We have Getu, the team led by Getu, Aliyah, and Putu. We have Miriam, who is the technical coordinator. We have Sarah and some of the other. We have Fengon, who is in charge of the journal and so on. And then we have this, the 3 countries, we have the teams, the data stewards, the coordinators, the FMO partner. Sorry, I'm trying to also admit people. If you can help with that, Aliyah and Putu, people are trying to join in the meeting, in the waiting room. So we have the members of the team of these countries, the data stewards and the country coordinators for Uganda, for Ethiopia, and for Zimbabwe. And I'm happy to report now that Zimbabwe, we're having a clear inroad. The agreement for Zimbabwe has been signed. The data processing agreement was signed and forwarded to the FMO. And we're hoping that with this, we can actually now, we have started the projects, of course, on paper since I think 1st of July, Professor Miriam, if I'm right, because we have an overlap with the Philips project. So now as it is, we have already completed all our own part of the first set of requirements from the FMO, so we can kickstart the project in full. Yes.
Yes, that is very excellent, Prof. And then going to the next slide, Putu. So here now is the setup of the Google project, which, as Professor Francesca is saying, really parallels the FMO project so that we stay balanced. Would you speak to that, Francesca, as well?
Yes, Professor Miriam, we got the Google grant, like has been announced, and there will be a steering committee consisting of everyone who has to make contributions to the VODAN Africa and Asia project, and then specifically also to the Google. So there could be some overlapping, some people belonging to the 2 steering committee. And of course, there is our technical team. We have the graduate students from Leiden and Tilburg. And then we have the team, our graduate students in Africa, like Getu and Aliyah in Kazakhstan, Putu from Indonesia, Feng Hong, and every other technical TOT support members. And of course, we have the country teams from Tunisia, Kenya, and Nigeria, the data stewards and the country coordinators, and the partner FMOs and the hospitals, medical doctors, and everyone involved. So we have been able to have a kind of a synergy, like we're not splitting ourselves into 2, but we're going to have a kind of an overlap so that everything will run together smoothly with the FMO and the Google project, and every other project which we are anticipating will be able to run under the VODAN Africa and Asia team.
Thank you so much, Professor Francesca. Then we can go to the next slide, Putu. So here, this is, I'll ask Dr. Sakina to speak to the organization on the special issue. Dr. Sakinat, maybe are you on mute? We can't hear you.
Yes, good afternoon, Ma. I'm right here. I had a slight network issue. Now, we're talking about the special issue from the editorial board. We have, right now, we're at the stage of a review committee on abstracts. We are reviewing abstracts now. And I would like to quickly give a rundown report on where we are on the abstract review. One, we have 2 articles added now So that means that some article ID will change right from Article 14 for fair principles and data regulatory in Nigeria. Then the other one was added by Professor Miriam, contribution to private sector. Then we also have new authors joining some old article topics, old topics before. So I implore the new authors to consult with the old authors, the merge, so that the synergy will be okay. Then we also have some names of articles. They have changed because of the new articles that we're having. Then 4 articles have submitted their abstracts now. You know, the last time we had 12 articles that have submitted abstracts. So for now, we have 4. 1, fair principles and data regulatory in Nigeria. Then the other one is for curricular development. Another one is for data science as a new field of employment. Then the 4th one is an enhanced collaboration in health services. So now, telling ourselves that the goal of this review at this stage of the abstract is not to throw away any idea, but rather to structure the abstracts more. So we just encourage the authors that have their articles written in extended format to kind of bring out a 250-word abstract from that, so that they can continue with their work, a 250-word abstract separate from the body of the work. Then new topic proposal that you should contact Aliyah. Aliyah will register your topic, and also gather your abstract and contact the review committee. And also importantly, Professor Fengog advised that some of the articles, while reviewing, she advised that they could also submit their data to the data article of the journal. For example, like the article on data analytics by Nigeria, myself being author and Ezekiel Ogundepo, she advised that we submit our data to the data article, and also Professor Miriam of Tunisia, that their work, she says that they are collecting data, that they could submit their data to the data article of that journal. So I don't know if I have missed out some things, but so far, that is what we have. I'm sure that by next week, we will round up the abstract and let everybody know their stand. Even we still welcome more topics. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sakinat, and you're working so hard. Thank you for that update. Putu, if we could go back to slide 4, just for a moment, since I see that the VC has joined us, and I just wanted to go back to that slide before we now go into all of the implementation issues. One more. And one more. Yeah, that's it. VC, just wanted to ask if you wanted to speak to this slide and generally address the...
All right. Greetings from Uganda, and welcome everybody. It's really impressive. 34 participants. This is amazing, and we welcome everybody in their capacity. It's a pleasure also to thank Professor Miriam and the team, and every one of you who are contributing to this progress. Now, if I go back to this chart, the flow chart, I have 2 comments to suggest, and we present it for your consideration. One is with respect to the special issue. I would like to suggest a renaming, because the work we are doing is going to lead to publications, you know, and so I wanted to suggest we call this publication and dissemination, so that it is a unit, because below, like for example, under the steering committee, you have individuals and you have a head there, a chairperson of a committee, and so on and so forth. So instead of a special issue, we can have a unit, or in the structure, a particular unit that would be considered as that, because it is going to encompass even other publications, not only the special issue. So this is one, but its location is okay with me. Now, I also have the second point, and I want to pick your minds. And I think Professor Miriam and Francisca and others, and Bert and others I've seen on the in the forum. What is the relationship between the consortium committee? Okay, the first question: what is the consortium committee? Not that I don't know, but Professor Miriam, I think you need to expound on that. Once we know what the consortium committee is or is made of, the composition of that consortium committee, then we can place it in relation to this structure, so that we see whether it relates directly with the board and foundation, or does it relate with the steering committees? If it does, where does it pick its authority? So Professor Miriam, I thought I bring these ones out so that members can also deliberate on, just for purposes of getting to know the relationship, because this is a hierarchy.
It's a very
flow, so that there are no overlaps. Yes, go ahead.
It's a very important point, and Professor Francesca just spoke to it as well. And she spoke about the VODAN Africa board, which was established under your chairmanship and presidency last week with all the coordinators of VODAN Africa, and which then directs and instructs the steering committee of the FMO project, and which you have instructed should be chaired by myself, and which includes all of the coordinators and technical advisors, as well as the back donor partners, such as, for instance, FMO. Jasper wanted to be here this week, but I think he'll be there next week. But he was working this weekend to finalize all the issues on this FMO project. So Betty, for instance, Betty is also a member of the consortium committee, because the Go Fair Foundation also puts in resources in the VODAN Africa project. So the consortium committee exists of CODATA as the chair, the organization CODATA, who actually managed and administered the project. And then it has FMO and Philips Foundation, which was the startup partner, and then Go Fair, which was also our startup partner. So they are in the consortium committee, and they report to the steering committee, which has everybody who has a coordinating or technical coordinating or financing role. So that's a big committee. And then the steering committee takes instructions and reports to the VODAN Africa board. And the VODAN Africa board has a foundation in Kampala as per the instruction of the board in the meeting that you presided over on Friday, VC. That is my explanation.
Okay, thank you. So does the consortium committee, is it composed of what you would look as promoters, donors, and the people who are supporting the different projects?
Yeah, only the FMO project. So the consortium committee only relates to the FMO project. It was a specific facility that was requested as part of the normal FMO procedure. So it is included in that project.
Right. And does the steering committee of the Google project have a consortium committee?
It does not.
Okay, so in this case, you would actually drop the arrow, but it will fall directly in the chart. In other words, it would be vertical, and so that it shows that indeed it is feeding in the steering committee. It looks a very simple thing, but flowcharts have a problem. The designers have different meanings. That is my understanding.
I'll need to ask someone from the young ones to get the arrows straight. But
right. Okay. Right. So how about the suggestion of the special issue?
I think it is, I don't know, for me it's fine. In the chat, is anybody thinking that is not a very good suggestion? It would be encompassing of all the work that Professor Francesca and her team is also doing on publication and dissemination, again, some very important work this weekend. So if Professor Francesca and Dr. Sakinat can chair that, and then we can make 2 arrows down, one to the special issue and one to any other publication, and then so many other arrows as we expand the work. I think
that's the very reason I wanted to suggest we call it publication and dissemination, and then we can have drop arrows for whatever we'll be publishing. If it is about it's coming out of the FMO project or the Google, even other even the press releases and everything probably could be managed within that particular docket. But it's just I hope it's not semantics. It's just it's about the flow.
We are seeing that Dr. Reginald agrees, and Dr. Francesca as well. I think it's a very good proposal.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Did somebody want to intervene? Please, feel welcome. Oh, maybe it was not intended. And yeah, Dr. Araya, I think this would not be for one-time job. So the special issue is one time. So in that sense, it is very right to give it a title that has a much longer duration, which is publication and dissemination. It's a good correction on the graph. Thank you, Mariam. Thank you, Wandimo. So then,
let me just say something.
Francesca, please.
Dr. Araya. Yes, and of course the VC, thank you VC staff for making this suggestion, because I remember also in the FMO project, in addition to the journal, I think we also have a book publication proposed, Professor Miriam, yes, so apart from the special issue, which is a one-off thing, we also have a book, and of course we send out press releases and news items. So I think it's the VC suggestion is actually in order.
In fact, we have, as I see, we have at least four elements. One is the special issue with Dr. Sakinat. One is all the general publication and dissemination of you, Professor Francesca, and your team. Then we have the book project, which is under Mariam Basaja. And then there is the publication with Miles Axton, which is a fourth one. So I think it is very much in order, this proposal, and thank you, VC, for helping. Then Putu, I think we can go to where we were. So this is
just one comment. Sorry, if you can go back to that particular chart. I have another comment. Again, back. Yes, there. You see, you've done an excellent job to provide the composition of each of these committees, and they look fantastic. They are really good. You know who is the steering committee, and the chairpersons were outlined in the earlier documentation. Do we have a chart that also, I know you have listed them. I think it would be a nice thing to have a chart that details for now what is in the consortium committee, as you listed them, Go Fair, Phillips Foundation, and so on. So it shows do they call it what? A conglomerate or whatever they call it in English. So
maybe for the next meeting, we will, now that we have approved these organizational structures in this way, yes, then we can also put the names, and then we can discuss that also next week. I think many people
actually the names may not necessarily be there. It's a good detail, but you see the way after this general chart, you went down to detail the steering committee of Google, and also you talked about now the publication and dissemination. And so when it comes to consortium committee, I've not seen that detail like you have detailed for these other committees.
Yeah.
Is it one of the slides, Francesca?
No, we don't have it. The consortium committee will explain for next week in visual is Go Fair, Phillips Foundation, FMO, and CODATA. That's the consortium committee.
Understood. Okay.
Dr. Francesca, can you speak to this, the agreement on data protection, please?
Okay, thank you, Professor Miriam. So as part of the requirement for the FMO project, and of course, it's usually because the project is sponsored by a European organization, we are required to ensure that all partners comply with the GDPR. And of course, the VODAN projects instituted by GoFair Foundation. So we have to also ensure that all the partners comply with the GoFair rules of engagement. And as VODAN Africa, then as a project, we are also, we have to protect the interests of the participating countries to make sure that everyone, every organization, every individual participating in the VODAN Africa initiative respects and obeys the privacy laws of the countries involved, the individual countries. For Uganda, for Kenya, Tunisia, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and Ethiopia, and also obeys the GDPR, which is the European Privacy and Data Protection Law, and that's of the GoFair Foundation. So on behalf of the VODAN Africa, KIU as a coordinating organization prepared the legal documents with the help of a lawyer, and then the FMO and CODATA, who is coordinating, the FMO sponsoring and CODATA coordinating, signed up on the agreement. And then we prepare the agreement to be signed by all partners. So we have the VODAN Africa Data and Privacy Protection Agreement to be signed by all partners. And of course, VODAN Africa also will now undertake that for every partner in the project, there's a provision that they have agreed to abide by all the privacy protection laws for the specific country, and of course the GDPR and the GoFair rules of engagement. So the Zimbabwe team already signed the agreement and it's been sent to the FMO. And of course the remaining partners in the FMO projects, that's Ethiopia and Uganda. Of course, Uganda, by default, yes. Then that of Ethiopia will be sent for signing, which I'm sure our partners will be able to do that. And for the other countries who are partners, because we're required to sign that, even though they're not required by the FMO, but they're also required so that if we have future projects, we don't have to now start running around to get them to sign. We'll also send to the other country partners to sign. They're just very simple, simply saying, okay, the GDPR law, which is every project funded, every data project funded by a European organization, will have to ensure that the recipient complies with that law. And then the GoFair Foundation rules of engagement, which are also very simple. They don't put any restriction, just to make sure that we respect the privacy. And then because we deal with data, the privacy of the owners of the data, and to make sure we comply with that. So they're just simple agreement. They're not some legal things that need so much interpretation. I'm going to be sending that to, now that we have the board constituted, I'm going to be sending that to the remaining partners and request that they sign and return it as soon as possible.
Thank you, Professor Francesca. It was a very good test when we had to get this back from Zimbabwe very quickly to finalize the FMO process. And they went through all their own legal assessments within the university, and then found everything in order and able to sign it. So the suggestion here is that you do the same, take it through your legal advisors, but we trust that it will be very much in good order and in line with the international regulatory framework, and also then relating to your own regulatory framework as it will be in place on these sensitive data that we are working with. So I'm looking at the chat. I don't see any questions on this, so I'm assuming that I can move forward. Just give me an indication in the chat if this agreement on data protection is understood. Clear? Thank you, Ibrahim. Araya, thank you. Then, thank you, Dr. Sakinats. Then we go to the next slide. I wanted to now lead the discussion into the work that has been done on the technical side to prepare ourselves for the data production. And I'll ask different people to give some background on this. If we go to the next slide, Putu. Then the first work that has been done is on the data production of patient data, which is really the core of our work in the FMO project and the Google project for some part. So if you go to the next slide, Putu, then the first work that is being done is by a team which is led by Getu. And this is on the DSW wizard. So Getu, perhaps you can speak on the work that you have done so far and the objective of the work that you're doing during these 2 or let's say 3 weeks.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Prof. Yeah, the internet is breaking up, so let me just start updating you on the DSW wizard progress. So as we have discussed it in several discussions, Professor. So the DSW wizard, I was contacting them and I was trying to explore their technologies that they have used. And I asked them to meet and discuss on Zoom. However, their response was to let us wait and until they finish their work on the template. Finish it, they will give us the training. So for the first question, can we co-develop? Technically, yes, we can co-develop, but until now they are not that much cooperative. And for the second question, what are the possibilities for template flexibility? So in the DSW wizard, the possibility for expanding is very tight, because in the DSW wizard, there is a file called template. So this template is only workable for the WHO COVID-19 CRF. So it's not currently it's not flexible. However, if we are able to prepare templates for different formats, it could be obviously flexible. However, now it's not flexible. And the third one, what are the possibilities for bulk import? The possibilities for bulk import is not possible as well. I mean, it's very hard. If we couldn't solve the question for the second issue, which is template flexibility, we cannot answer the bulk import issue. So far, the DSW wizard team is not as cooperative as we thought. However, their technology is good, and we can work with the technology they have. However, they haven't responded yet. So this is the progress so far. So maybe can I give a suggestion or opinion on the CEDAR, Prof?
Yes, Putu, can you go to the next slide? And you can continue, Getu, but I will also give the floor to Aliyah. But please continue, Getu.
So I will just focus on the 3 questions. So I will give you my opinion on CEDAR side. So maybe you can go back to the DSW wizard. Back, yeah. So Obviously, we can co-develop the CEDAR as well. We have Samson and I have explored their product and the technologies they use, and we found it very good, and we can co-develop with them as well. The possibilities for template flexibility, inherently CEDAR is flexible. We can create any template with CEDAR currently. And the possibility of bulk imports, in fact, in CEDAR as well, they have no bulk imports. Rather, we can use their APIs to upload bulk data. So Samson has developed a PHP. Actually, we were discussing before we joined the webinar. So Samson has already developed a PHP code which can upload bulk data. So in CEDAR, it's possible and it's doable. Thank you, Professor. Maybe Samson can give an opinion on that.
Please go ahead, Getu. No, Samson, please go ahead.
Hello, Prof.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Samson.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, it's very slow, but we can hear you.
Okay, hello everyone, this is Samson. Can you hear me now?
Very fine.
Yeah, I was trying to do something about what we saw yesterday. For me, it was an insightful presentation from John, and I was trying to explore and a challenge that was raised from Tunisia. I think we are able to solve it, though we have to use their API, and I think I can present sometime when the connection is better, or in the interest of time, it would be better if you could see what has been done. But the bulk import is not inherently there, but it's possible through the API, and we have tried and tested it.
It's really absolutely exciting, and I can see from the chat that many are congratulating you, and this has been done in a very, very short time. So a lot of thanks to both of you. Let me for today go through all of it so that everybody has an overview, and then Samson and Getu, or Getu and Samson, maybe you can zoom in on the work that you have done the last 2 weeks, which will be 3 weeks by then. And again, congratulations. If we go to the next slide, Putu, then I'd like to give the floor to Aliyah on this.
Yes, hello everyone again, and thank you very much. So actually I will add to Getu and Samson's speech. I mean, I don't have a lot to add, but I'm totally agree with Getu and Samson that templates are expandable and that is very flexible on CEDAR platform. But the issue, like the concern that I have is that like the local server. So as I know, and we talked with Getu about that, it has only online service, so the server is there. So I'm not sure about the local server installation. So how would that work? And I think we need to think about that. I mean, this is just my opinion. So
an issue of the localization, just to clarify to everybody that this work is also being done, and that there's a very good team working here together with Alia, Getu, Samson, the Nigeria team, the Tunisia team. So a lot of excellent work being done, and we'll be reporting further. Getu, do you want to say something about the convergence of the RDF and the Allegro graph with the DSW wizards?
Yes, Professor. So the issue raised by Alia, which is localization of the CEDAR, I think it will be very complicated, but it's still doable, because still the CEDAR is online service, so we have to bring it to our local servers and be able to work with FDP and other components in our current system. And to your question, Professor, the convergence of RDF in Allegro graph, as I have read from the documentation in Allegro graph, it is possible to upload any RDF format. However, the RDF format which is produced from the CEDAR is not standardized. So if we are able to make it standardized and maybe convert it to Turtle format in RDF, it should be doable. I mean, it should be we can, I think we can upload it to Allegro graph. So in fact, we have to first try it and manually convert the RDF produced by CEDAR and upload it to Allegro graph. And I think we have to first try it ourselves. And I will update you in the next meeting, Prof.
Yes. Excellent. Getu, thank you again.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Exactly the progress we need, and congratulations again, and also to Samson. Thank you. I'll go now to the next slide, Putu.
I think Bet asked a question from Getu.
Sorry, I didn't.
Aside, because I think Getu should provide the answer.
That is okay. Well, I was basically wondering, because I understand that, some of the functions that we asked from the wizard team, they are not yet there, so they need to be built in. That's what I understood a while ago. So I just wanted to check, who did you talk to? Did you talk to Marek, or did you talk to Robert Pergel? Who were the persons that you talked to at the CODATA?
Bet, if you are okay with this, let's take this offline.
It's also fine.
Yeah, so that I can finish this presentation, and we'll catch up on this after this call. Is that okay?
That is fine. Just, I have another meeting, but you can chat me. That is fine.
All right, perfect. Yeah. Excellent. Then going to the, thanks, Bet. Going to the next slide, then is the data production of the science data. So these are data that are not patient data, so they don't fit within the templates that are used within the clinics or the hospitals. But here we have different data, such as, for instance, the data collected by the Tunisia team on COVID infections among the migrant communities, and also Dr. Sakinat and team did the same production of data. Maybe in the interest of time, I will go through we'll go in depth some other time, but this is something that is very possible on CEDAR. Both teams have done this, and the only problem that is there is that they are not convergent with the FDPs, and therefore the testing of the queries across the patient data and the scientific data with which the CEDAR templates are populated, that is something that needs to be tested. But this group is also working very well, so we will report on this in the future. Then if we go to the next slide, Then the other element of the development is the work on the queries. And this is with Mariam, who is working with the LUMC. If you go to the next slide, Putu, to create a synthetic data set. So these are mock data, and to develop a plan to use these synthetic data to then also work on the development of the queries. Mariam, do you want to say anything about this at this particular moment?
Well, there's not much to say at this particular moment, but I recently had a meeting with Nuria, and we came up with a plan. And our aim is to come up with a script which will convert the real data set to a synthetic data set, and so that this can be made publicly available on the FDP, and also the possibility of being able to query the synthetic data sets. So yeah.
Very, very good, Mariam. I'm just going through all of this fast so that everybody gets a sense of where we are, and also to see how much progress we collectively have made. Going to the next slide. Thanks, Mariam. That's great. Then the last technical group is led by Putu, and he is working with the Data Competence Center with the LUMC team, really to investigate a approach to common strategies around data access, which also then includes data control and data security, the patient data being sensitive data. I don't think, Putu, that it's probably a little bit early to report anything, right? But
yeah,
if you
right,
want
right.
anything at this moment, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the second meeting of LUMC, but there's no email about that. But I think I will contact to Eric about the data access and control and security. And I think I got your graphic about the security and privacy. So I still learning about that, and maybe I will contact Eric as soon as possible to ask about this.
Yeah, that is your work with Eric Flickenshield.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Putu. Then we can go to the next slide. Yes. So let me just ask, it is, I've still 3 minutes and I have 2 more points, the International Fair Convergence Symposium and the special issue, although I think that Dr. Sakinat already updated us on the special issue. Before I go to this International Fair Convergence Symposium, let me ask if there are any questions on the technical update in the chat, or that I can continue. Was everything clear?
If there's no one, I can say yes.
That's clear. Okay, okay. I see Ibrahim Reginald.
Because there's no objection. Everybody is saying yes, clear, and so on.
Okay. Then the very excellent news is that on the International Fair Convergence Symposium, which is organized by GoFair, Bert is here, and by CODATA together, we submitted 5 proposals, and all 5 proposals were accepted. So this is really good news. And if we go to the next slide, then here you see the sessions. So the first session is on the data stewardship and the competence of the curricula development. I think that this will be led by UVC and Professor Francesca and the VODAN Africa board in conjunction with the NUFIC project that we haven't discussed here today. Maybe it also needs to be there in that graph that we looked at today. But this is really to develop the competencies. I can say that today we had a meeting on this, and Professor Francesca showed to us the curriculum that she developed together with Alia as a proposal and Getu, and it looked very excellent. So then the next session that is approved is on fair equivalency, the tool. This is a tool that was developed by Mariam Basaja and tested by Putu. And I would suggest that those two should lead this session, the preparation for this session. Then the next session is the verification of data related to infections on the COVID-19 virus among hard to reach people. And my suggestion is that this would be led by Morgan and Dr. Mariam, and of course, Dr. Reginald with his excellent work also in Pumwani. Then there is the session on African Horizons for the management of health. And this maybe we decide who should lead that. There are so many here who could lead this. But it really is the implications of what we do for the future of health management in Africa. And then the other one ties also into that. The session is called Beyond COVID. And that one is how do we expand from the WHO ECRF into a general patient data management in a fair format. I don't know if there are volunteers to lead on the one on African Horizons for Health Management or the one on Beyond COVID. Yeah, I was also thinking that Francesca, Dr. Araya and Wondi Mu for the African Horizons for Health Management and one Beyond COVID. I mean, they are quite interrelated. I'm looking at the chat or anyone who wants to speak to this. This is the last topic. The remaining topic is then the one in the next slide on the special issue, but already Dr. Sakinat has spoken on this, that the abstracts are in review process. Dr. Feng Hong and Dr. Sakinat are both working on that. Thankful for the team that did a lot of work of Alia and Misha, and we will be bringing the feedback on the abstracts to you, I would say the beginning of next week, as Dr. Sakinat was also saying. So Dr. Araya is happy to accept the responsibility. If we go back to the previous slide, which one, Dr. Araya, you can speak also. Which one of the sessions or both sessions would you take?
For the Africa Horizons for Health Management decision.
Thank you, Araya. Thank you.
Yeah.
And any nominations or volunteers for the one Beyond COVID, which is really the expansion going from VODAN as focused on COVID to general health management. Dr. Abdullahi, would you, you are nominated by Dr. Sakinat, Ibrahim. Would you like to lead on this session?
Maybe, hello?
Oh,
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you, Doctor.
All right, as suggested, since I have all the guiding mentors around here, I agree to it.
Excellent. Then we have
Hello, Miriam.
Yes,
Hello.
Dr.
Maybe you can give us a brief explanation. What's the difference between African Horizon for Health Management decision and the VODAN Beyond COVID decision? When I got the Africa Horizons for Health Management decision, I understood that it looks into the health system perspective and health management. In that case, would be very happy. But if, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but what we will do as follow-up is that Professor Francesca and myself, we will write to all the leads on the 5 sessions, and in the sessions on Africa Horizons for Health Management and Beyond COVID, we will copy the 3 of you in. So Dr. Raya, Dr. Abdullahi, and Wondimu, Dr. Wondimu. So that then in that exploration, you can separate it out so that it is clear what is what. I must say that I have not had a very close look at it because it came in just before our meeting. So I now need to go back to the emails and what has come back. So then I think with this we have, we can go to the next slide, but I think we have reached the end of it for today. And just I could ask if there's any final question or comment. And otherwise, I may ask VC maybe to close the session.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Miriam. I would like to take this opportunity. It's really been a marathon, but very, very, how can I say it? Very specific, very meticulous, and it's actually it demonstrates the capacity that we have all built and the interest. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the entire team that has organized this, Francisca and the other team members of VODAN. Plus also, we need to thank the people we are not seeing here, Simon, Hans, and the others who have done a great job in getting the documentation and the registration of this board and the foundation, and the wise hierarchy that has been discussed here so that each member knows their roles, and that will improve efficiency. I do thank you so much, and let's hope we can continue with this type of approach.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, VC. And Francesca, thank you so much. Actually, as you travel to Nigeria, we were not sure. And so we have taken over some of the coordination of the thing here, but all the underlying work was yours. And please, it would be so nice if you closed this session for us, Francesca, all the way from Nigeria.
Thank you, Professor
Miriam. Sorry, Sakinat raised her hand.
Oh, let me first go to Sakinat then, and then go to you, Francesca. Sakinat?
Yes, thank you. I've been raising my hand for some time. I didn't know you didn't see it.
I didn't.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to draw us back. It's on this CEDA and the CRF form. I myself and Dr. Miriam, we have used both CEDA and the CRF form. To me, they look the same and they have the same problem. But I don't know if we are looking into solving some of the problems. I think that we should also look into the CRF form also. If we can actually solve that problem from there, I think it would be great too, unless we are moving to CEDA for non-clinical COVID-19 data set. It's just for you to note down, or maybe Aliyah can note it down when we are discussing this. Yes.
Yes, I think that Francesca will also speak to this, but what we are currently looking at, Dr. Sakinat, is based on the specifications, which is that we have multiple forms for patient data, and that these need to be localized in terms of the repository, and also that these need to be entered with bulk data. We have just been comparing, but no, we are not throwing away anything. So we are working with DSW Wizard. In fact, Gitu is working as we are speaking here today with them, as well as the CEDA team. So today was just to share with everybody that amount of work that has been done and to see in terms of the specifications what is going to suit best for which purposes. So it's not a discussion about do we prefer this or do we prefer that? It is like what fits what. And then of course we have issues around convergence. And this is something that is not just for us, but that is an issue. I mean, Bet will say the same for any other place. These issues are the same issues. And this is why we are looking at the convergence issues as well. But no, we are doing all of this simultaneously to see what makes the best fit as we go forward. And thank you for that very important comment. So VC, I see you coming up. Am I going to you or to Francesca?
No, I bid farewell to everyone. I just wanted to listen to your last remarks, but you can go ahead.
Francesca, sorry, the final words are yours, and thanks for all the many preparations that you did behind the scene. I thought you were going on holiday, but you never were on holiday, and very much present. Thank you. Look at the progress we had today. So please close the meeting for us, Francesca.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Miriam, and a very special thanks to the Vice Chancellor who has continued to provide leadership for this project and every other project we have had between the KIU, actually between Africa and Europe that involves the KIU. I just want to also thank everyone. Today we have 35 people, 36 people on the call. It's so amazing. I remember when we were coming to the end of the Philips project, we had no idea where to go, just like when we started the Philips project. But Professor Milan said, no, let us not stop these Tuesday meetings. Let us continue. I will make sure that we have content. And I was like, okay, let's see. What's going to happen? And truthfully, she has always supported us and make sure that we have things to discuss, exciting things that continues to bring all of us together. Thank you so much, Professor Miriam. Thanks to everyone for all your contributions. Special thanks to Putu and Aliyah. Right from inception, Putu and Aliyah, they have been providing support. Aliyah was the TOT support for Kenya, and Putu was for, I think, Nigeria and Tunisia. And they have continued to provide that support. And now, handling these webinars, they have done excellently well. Sending out the announcement and starting the webinar, make sure that we all participate in our full capacities. Thank you very much. To all our country teams and to our supporters from Leiden and Tilburg and KIU, I've seen some people on the call. I was admitting people in from the waiting room, and we have so many new people here today. Thank you too. We'll see next week, Tuesday. We'll continue to make progress. We'll continue to grow. We'll continue to expect new partnership and break new grounds. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye from me.
Goodbye. Thank you, Francesca. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. We will do appreciate for your participation.